this is a 748. It's actually a 748R with the Ohlins, but that's a bit irrelevant. And new speedo drive. The customer fitted this drive himself, went in, it worked for a little while, then it stopped working again, and the cable was broken. And when I had a look at it when he brought it in for service work, I could see that the drive was angled like so at the back, and so the cable just sort of ripped and broke. This is a 748R, so the cable goes down between the caliper mounts, but it's still very much in the wrong spot. And I thought, it's a bit strange because this guy's not a dummy, he knows what he's doing. And then I looked at it and realised, because I did one earlier this week as well, what the problem was. These drives, which I think is 4891009-1A, not the original part, it's what Ducati supply for these now. It might be an ST part, I don't know. But the problem is that this locating lub that hits here doesn't allow the speedo drive to sit against the fork leg. But the lug comes out, it's got a line underneath it in the moulding that is where I cut them off. And so that way the speedo drive goes hard up against the fork leg. It actually really needs to locate in that groove on the round bit there, because it's pretty close to not being in the right spot axle wise. Put the axle in and have a look. Well, with the axle in, there's no way that that is going to be in the right spot no matter what we do. So maybe I need to take a bit off the bottom of the fork leg. I think that's the best solution, because the speedo drive, the body isn't very thick there. I don't want to attack that. I'll attack the fork leg. It's about a 1mm gap. And I'll also cut this off to make it locate where it should anyway. So I've attacked the lovely Ohlins fork leg with a file, which I don't usually like doing, but there was no other way to make this speedo drive sit flush against the leg. So it's definitely wrong in a couple of ways for an Ohlins application. I did fit one to a shower fork earlier this week and it seemed fine. So I think it's just the Ohlins application that has that interference issue. And see, I've filed it in here. It's hidden at least, but it's that edge of the casting that the speedo drive body hits on. So one thing to be particularly aware of if you're putting a speedo drive in an Ohlins superbike front end. So I've got our little lug. I'll put a white rag in my hand so you can see it, that I've cut the little end piece off. We're going to put it in the drive and hopefully it all sits in the right spot. So it's got a angled feet on it, so to slide the feet into the groove, push it all the way in, finding something to push with. There we go, it's all the way in. Get an axle back, and there. So I maybe cut a little bit too much off, you can't see, but it's certainly located, it's not going to go anywhere, and it's sitting against the fork leg. So that's one thing to be aware of when you're putting speedo drives in these superbike forks. I haven't come across this issue in other models, but I really don't replace many speedo drives, but certainly I've had to do this in superbikes, but it's the first time I've noticed it issue here in an Ohlins superbike.